Hi, here we are, live on the interweb. I guess everything is working. Hello guys. So, second episode of a bellissima video call. I really don't know about bellissima, honestly, but hopefully video call. And tonight we are gonna have a beautiful guest, for real, which is Jansen from Chixdiggit. Hopefully he's gonna join us soon. My name is Franz. I'm part of the volunteers running Raduno, and and I'm gonna interview KJ. Thank you so much for sending us the questions all day, and for those of you celebrating it, Happy Easter. So, first of all, I should start off saying thank you so much for the great support we had with the compilation All Is Well, which we launched 9 days ago now. Not All Is Well, but I Wanna Be Well. I always get confused. I Wanna Be Well. It's a digital compilation that we released with the recordings of Raduno 4 edition, and mixed by Tube Studio, mastered by Riccardo Zamboni, with a beautiful artwork of Paolo Proserpio, who also did the artwork for this bellissima video call, and is working a lot. Paolo is working a lot for us, and thank you so much. So yeah, we have been really shocked by the response of the compilation. We reached 2,000 euro in donation, so we will give you an update, and we are aiming for 3,000, and all donations will go to the Bergamo hospital. And of course, you all know I'm in Bergamo, and Bergamo is the most affected city in the north of Italy right now for the COVID situation. And yeah, so thank you so much for that. Please keep listening and streaming. Please, if you can, if you haven't done it yet, download it if you can, or spread the word. Yesterday, Bandcamp, the official Bandcamp website, posted about it, which was really great. So thank you so much, Bandcamp, as well. You are my favorite music website. And yes, then also we should thank all the people in the punk community who not only supported the I Wanna Be Well compilation, but also made a benefit by their own. For example, the D-Cracks guys, which we are really close to, and they are basically donating all the money they are making on their website from 8 till 18th of April to the Bergamo hospital. And so our good friend Stefanino from Palermo, from the Popsters, from the Veterans, and from many other bands, he just released a solo album, and all the downloads will go again to the Bergamo hospital. So thank you so much. Being from Bergamo, and I can talk on behalf of many people here, we are really appreciating this effort of helping us out. And yeah, so I hope you're all well, and thank you so much for enjoying the Easter with us. So let's see if we can invite our good friend KJ. Let's see about that. I'm not really sure. For some reason, it doesn't let me do it. What's going on here? So for some reason, I cannot call people with this, which is really weird. So any of you knows how to invite people to the video call? This is pretty embarrassing. We should have tried this before, but we did it before. Oh, here it is. For some reason it disappeared, but now it's back again. Let's see. see if he's online. Not yet. I should maybe call him. KJ, show up. Where are you? Where are you, my friend KJ? I need you here. Let's see. KJ is drinking already. Yes, me too. Me too. So hopefully he's gonna join the conversation. Let's see if I can reach him out. Ready when you are. Join the conversation. Watch the live streaming. Yes, this is great because we don't know what we are doing sometimes. So let's see. Let me see here. Hello guys, drink, cheers, cheers. Hello Jamie, hello Julia, hello you all. This thing is not working. Why? Why everything is wrong? Hello Marion, hello Miriam, how are you? So, this thing, well, let's see, maybe doing this, no, maybe if I shake it, it's gonna work. Oh, we love you too. We love you too. I would love more if this thing will work. Oh, Chixdiggit actually requested. Let's see. Let's see if he's answering.
It worked.
You saved me.
I don't know what I'm doing here, so.
Well, you're way better than me because you saved the situation. Because I don't know why he will not let me invite you. Maybe.
Oh yeah, it was weird. I was waiting for an invite or something, but I don't know. This works. Whatever.
Here we are, Mr.
Yeah, how are
KJ
ya?
Jansen from Chixdiggit himself. Welcome.
I miss you. I miss
Me
you.
too. Me too. Every day of my life, I miss you. I miss touring with you too.
Yeah, me too. Oh boy, especially now. But one day we will again.
Oh yes, soon. Pretty
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
So, how are you? What time it is now in Calgary?
I think it's like 20 to 1 in the afternoon, just after lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And Easter, so we were up super early today. We had a Easter egg hunt here at the house.
Beautiful.
And then, yeah, so we were up actually really early. Where the Easter Bunny was up really early anyway. So, but yeah, it's been a good day so far.
Nice.
Putting together some. What's up?
Are you in lockdown now? Like you have to stay home? Like what is the situation in Canada right now?
Well, I think it's well, I think it's a choice, right? There's like you can go out, you have to be so far away from every other person or whatever, but I think most people are just choosing to like stay home anyway. So I think we've been in for about a month just going out to get groceries, and that's about it.
Okay.
And, yeah. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Good.
So happy. Well, I'm in lockdown since 5 weeks now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The first 3 weeks were just spent at home because I've been sick. You know, isolate myself, so I could not even go out for groceries. But luckily, I had a couple of friends that showed up, dropped the grocery downstairs, and I went down, took it, and then when it was safe for me to go out now, I'm going to work. They don't have because we are still delivering food, and we are volunteering, like delivering groceries to people that cannot go out. There is a really good a network of volunteers right now in the city, or actually different networks, and so everyone is helping out to each other, in particular to people that is sick or cannot go out.
Yeah.
So that is good. So I'm trying to help that. So and that helps me as well, because being able to go out for a few hours doing that not only make you feel a little slightly a better person, but also make you feel like you're alive again, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we're able to walk around. I was talking to Mark from Chixdiggit, and right now, I know I feel the same way. He's stuck in an apartment in Madrid, and I think you get questioned on the street if you're out without a reason. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was out for a walk, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I can hear snow crunching. We had a lot of snow lately, and I said, "Oh, I'm on a walk." He's like, "You're allowed to just go for a walk." And and I was like, man, I would go, I would have a tough time, so I feel for you guys that are in like a more serious lockdown than us.
It's actually the same thing here. Actually, after the 3 first weeks that I've been, I actually went out on a Sunday to get groceries. And I know it sounds stupid, but I got stopped by the army. There was the
Oh yeah,
army in the street and they stopped me. I had to stay there showing my reason for being out. And the supermarket is basically like 200 meters from my house. So
right.
like it was just like, of course, as soon as I went out, the army will stop me.
Yeah,
So, but of course, they are doing their job. So
yeah, absolutely.
anyway,
Yeah, anyway, yeah.
so we asked for sending us questions because everyone is curious about what is the current situation of you and Chixdiggit. And look, like I wrote down all the questions, so we have some work to do today. And of course, there is a strong connection between Chixdiggit and Europe. You toured many times, but not enough, because you should come back soon. And that's many questions are like, where are you coming back to Italy? Where are you coming back to Germany? Where are you coming back in general? And so let me start asking you, what is the current situation of the band, and when are you coming back?
Well, I think we're kind of like, I think, we are as people, like if somebody invites us over for dinner, we'll show up. And so it's kind of, the band is the same way. I mean, well, we've also been busy. I mean, a couple of the guys have just had babies, so
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of interested in staying home, and like yeah, we've been working on songs and writing songs and now because all of this finishing songs. That's me because I'm lazy slash busy, and so but yeah, I think yeah, we'd love to come back. I mean, and especially when you're told you can't do something, it makes you really, really want to do it. So,
Yes,
but I mean,
absolutely.
after all this is over, these shows that anybody plays, I mean, they're going to be incredible. And
Yeah.
people are, yeah, like I said to you this morning when we were talking, I said, there's going to be like babies, conceived on the dance floor. Some of these shows, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, because right now, I must say that being in lockdown, this is the fifth week here in Italy. I'm sure it's maybe the fourth in Spain. I lost count, but the every day, day by day, it seems like people is getting in a darker mood or getting more pessimistic. Of course, which is pretty normal probably, and but
Hmm.
staying positive have become really bad. But of course, there is a life after COVID, and I think so too. Like, when we will be able to do things, and we will be able to do things sooner than later, that's gonna be really, it doesn't matter which show will be, it doesn't matter, which friend you will see, which beer you will drink, that will taste or look like the best beer, the best show, the
Oh
best
yeah.
friend.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and all we have to do is just be invited. So, a good person to talk to,
I
whoever's
take
asking
note.
that question would be you. I think you're kind of the
Okay,
guy that, okay.
okay, let's make a promise now. Next year, Chixdiggit in Europe again.
Well, what's exciting no, I love that idea. But what's exciting about next year is our 30th anniversary. Yeah. So
Beautiful excuse.
we don't need
Beautiful
a reason,
excuse.
but we'll use that as a reason.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that's beautiful. Actually, I prepare a perfect introduction for you, and of course, everything got fucked up because I could not invite you to the video call. But KJ Jansen of Chixdiggit, where everything for Raduno started, because many probably forgot about it, but the whole idea of Raduno and the whole thing, like the reason why Raduno started was Chixdiggit. You know
Really?
that, right? You remember
Well, I
that?
know that we were the first, like last band to play or whatever.
So is the story goes like this, like we were thinking already starting the festival, me and Andrea, since a long time, and we just needed an excuse. And that year, a Monster Zero Mesh was not happening in Raduno in Bergamo. And at the same time, two of my best friends, Christian and Miriam from
Yeah.
Bergamo, now living in London. And Miriam really wanted so bad to make a surprise to Christian and invite one of his favorite bands. So I had a list of 3 bands, and you were one of those bands, and so we said like, okay, we asked you if you wanted to come and play the secret party at the wedding, well,
Yeah.
actually the wedding, and then we needed something, to make it possible. So we said like, why don't we book the festival, or we start this festival, and so we can bring Chixdiggit, we have Chixdiggit, and they play also the festival.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I
Huh?
think I knew that, but I didn't. Well,
You forgot.
I think I knew that at the time, but then I also didn't know that this would be this thing that it's like Raduno's a worldwide sensation now. People, people here ask me about it, and
Because of you, because of you,
yeah, I'm
because
sure
you
it is.
started it.
But that Christian and Miriam's wedding was like a all-time highlight for us, like as a band, just because you like we were driven to this. Like, did you drive us or who drove us?
I
Some
think I think I went there early, really early in the morning to set up the stage in order
Right.
to not have Christian, because we had to do everything around Raduno, and then also should have been secret. So I went there really early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning, set up the stage, the PA,
Yeah.
and then I got myself ready. And then my friend John drove you, and I guess you got really
No.
scared because John drives like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we asked to take the bus back after the wedding.
Yes, exactly. Instead of riding with him, you took the
He was
bus of
all he
the.
was all hurt, but the guy, yeah, it's actually kind of a miracle if you believe in miracles. We made it to this wedding, yeah, but then so we had to kind of like it was like a Tintin book or something, where you're crouching down in this like old castle, and then you're
Yes.
trying not to be seen by anybody. We're hiding in these bushes, and it's also like 800 degrees outside. Remember how hot it was?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was
And so
brutal.
plus we had all went to we'd gone to H&M and bought matching $12 button down shirts that we were sweating through. But yeah, that was pretty great, and just to see how happy they were, it was amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. And actually, you're always worried when you do something like this in a wedding, because there are the parents, there are the friends, and they are not punk rockers normally. Like in this case, there were like 10, 15 people that knew what was going on, but you're always worried what the reaction will be. But somehow everyone was like, singing and dancing and enjoying the thing. So that was really good. That was a highlight. And then after the wedding, we went to Punk Rock Raduno, where the
Yeah,
Manges played, and so it was like a double party.
yeah, and it was like we show up, and your friend from is it Gaeto de Oro? Is that right? Am I
Galetto
saying?
d'Oro. Oh yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and he's like making pizza, and it was just like honestly, like that would be anybody from Canada's like dream trip to Italy, you know. But
Pizza and weddings.
well, the secret to hiring Chixdiggit for your wedding is that the grandparents are basically the same age as us, so of course we have a lot in common. So, but no, it was super cool. Thank you for inviting us.
No, no, thank you for coming. I'm sure there is a video of that. There is a video. If you look for like a Chixdiggit wedding or something, I guess there is online a video. But
Hmm.
anyway, a lot of people asked, of course, about new recordings. And I remember really well being sitting this couch in this room when you came the last time and we were here, and you played me not only the demos of what then became your 2012 LP, which is your latest release on LP. Then there is a split 7-inch for the Japanese tour, I believe.
Yeah.
But also you played me some demos for another record, which didn't come out, right? Am I correct? Like you had already songs for another record.
Yeah, I think we have like 15 songs ready to go there. And then, and that was like, what, 2015, I think. So, yeah, since then, and I'm not exaggerating because we just haven't, nobody's really been into touring or anything right now. We've just been, doing other things. And so, but we practice all the time. And I just, because
you practice?
Well, you know what I mean? Like, we sit around and have a beer and make fun of each other. But, yeah, I think, because of all this time I have now, so there are good sides to all the shittiness. I was able to kind of go through everything, and there are 60 songs outside of the 15 that I had when you were there. So, but I mean, and I would say there's some good ones in there, and some shitty ones probably too. But there's 60 we got to kind of go through.
So it's basically 4 albums of 14 songs plus outtakes, or 3 rancid albums, as they put like 20 songs in each record.
Yeah, basically one album with 40 outtakes.
Beautiful. So many split 7-inches and other stuff. So when are you going to record this?
Well, we were supposed to be recording now, actually, to be honest with you. Like, middle of March we were supposed to start. So, I think there's a few songs in there we have to sort of decide which ones we're actually going to do, and this all kind of happened when we were coming down to the the end of it. So yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Someone commented calls for a double LP, a triple LP actually, no double.
Well,
LP.
I think this is too much. Like sometimes when you get like a triple record set, and we could do that, it's too much. So we'll just do 37 inches. Yeah,
also like a box set, many box set of 7 inches. But so your latest release, it has been like, as everyone knows by now, like the greatest punk rock song. You basically beat down the decline of NoFX. By the way, I guess 2 days ago, NoFX released a version of the decline live with the orchestral.
Yeah.
And so now we have to do it too, because of course, so you did in one LP, it's only one song, but with different parts, and it's longer than the decline. That was intended to be longer than the decline, to be the greatest punk rock song. I was wondering, first of all, what was the reaction of releasing something like that in a format that can be strange for some people, in particular now of Spotify and stuff? Because of course, if I look on Spotify, I find 2012, but I can only play one track, so it doesn't look like an album there, while on LP, of course, it looks like a regular album. And did you ever spoke with Fat Mike about that, your label boss, about the fact that you did the greatest song?
Oh, I sent it to him. Like when we finished it, I sent it to him, and he said some really nice things about it, and I think he likes that we were kind of trying to fuck with them a little bit, But it's funny. We also on purpose did it so you can't flip ahead each track, and I think that pissed some people off, But because we were kind of like, well, just listen to the whole thing, and so some people were annoyed by that, but it's kind of like when you get a pizza from Galetta d'Oro, and I wouldn't want to compare this record to that because that's like but you got to eat it as the chef intended, and so some people like to do that, and some people like to chop their food up into little bits and take their time. So, but yeah, I think, you know, we got mixed reaction. It's funny too, because there's people who were name checked in that song. In fact, I would say 90% of the people name checked in that song don't even know that they were name checked in that song because they didn't listen to the fucking thing. So, but it's long, right? And but I'm super proud of it. I love it. It's my favorite Chixdiggit record.
That's beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
also because you had a change, because you know I bet, like, having a band for so long and having to do like the format of the LP, you need a new way of writing, a new challenge probably, and something more exciting. And first of all, for those of you that didn't listen to the record, is the latest Chixdiggit record, and it's all about 1 year of the band. So it's basically, I guess, is the last year where Mark toured with you constantly.
Yeah.
So it was a sort of, it's basically in a Springsteen word, is your Bobby Jean to Mark. You know, Bobby Jean is what written by Bruce Springsteen for Steve Van Zandt when he was leaving. And so like that record is your Bobby Jean to Mark.
Yeah, it's basically a love song to Mark because, you know, he's my best friend, and, you know, like there's touring with Mark, and no offense to anybody else who I've ever toured with, but then there's touring without Mark, and it's two totally different things. And that you understand this because you've toured with Mark, you know, and
well,
it's like fun all the time, and he's funny, and he's just a great guy to tour with. So it was, you know, there was that, you know, I think that was the reason why I wanted to do it, you know. But, you know, also part of it for me, like the one we had done before that was an EP, and that would have been a full-length record, but there was all these bands that I really like, and they put out record every year, and it's just like a couple of good songs, and the rest are kind of like, is that really your best stuff? And then maybe a couple that are just like, why would you put that out? And so it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, so Safeways was going to be a full-length record, and I was just like, yeah, you know, those songs I like, but I don't love. So why don't we only put the songs on there that we love? So that was, you know, and then I was like, why is everybody doing the same thing all the time? You know, so, you know, we had an album ready to go around 2012, but it was like, let's put this out. Let's do something interesting, and it's like a challenge, you know, and it was like, it might not sound like it, but it was really hard to do.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And the thing I'm most proud of, and I'm proud of a lot of things about this record, is that the bed track, so it'd be the drums, the bass, and one of the guitars, was all done in one take. And and it was the second take, and we'd only done half a take. The first take was like half a take just to get the levels, and then we played it, and then we were like, it's done, you know. So then we just laid everything else on top. So I'm super proud of that. So yeah.
Nice. And you mentioned Safeways, which is another of my favorites, which is on the LP version, if I remember correctly, is the same songs on the A side and the B side. So if you know, you can run out of the two sides different. And I never told you this. I must thank you, because when I finally got the LP version, which happened probably 1 year after it came out, for some reason, like you thanked me and Diego before Fat Mike, and I found that was hilarious. Like, it was like me and Diego, Fat Mike, and I was laughing my ass off. So thank you for that. But as you said, there is to me there is a word, like my life is divided before meeting Mark and after meeting Mark. So
yeah.
Soon we are gonna focus on that, because I have a whole Mark section, which I will go straight to. But I mean, I have actually on the same best Mark stories on my questions. So start to think about it what now. But I will be curious to know. Some people asked. I was looking at the documentary of Fat Records, which is currently your record label since a long time now. They basically release the most of your catalog. And I saw the documentary, not enough Chixdiggit there in their documentary, but I only heard you saying great things about them. So can you tell us a little bit of inside of the record label, how it operates? Because to me, it seems like you have this sort of live deal with them. So basically, whenever you want to release something, you just send them your stuff and they release it, or is it something like that? Like, which kind of relation you have it now with them, and what do you
Yeah,
think about the label?
well, I assume that everybody has the same deal, I think, because I mean, back when they, came up, everybody was signing these major label deals, including us, and we actually, Fat Mike had put in an offer for our first record, and
Oh,
but we didn't know because we had a manager at the time, and the manager knew that Fat Records wasn't going to give a big advance like Sub Pop would, and if they give a big advance, then he gets a percentage of that, right? So
mm-hmm,
it wasn't even mentioned. So when we went, we had sort of like a release from the label party from Sub Pop,
mm-hmm.
we were like frustrated and whatever, and so I called Fat and they set up a show for us in San Francisco, basically just for the people at the label,
Oh,
and a few other people, I think, and Mike was there, and he's like, "Why didn't you want to do your first record with us?" And I was like, "Well, I had no idea that you wanted to, and he's like, "Yeah, you just totally ignored my offer." I was like, "I didn't get an offer, because we would have for sure gone with that." And I think this manager knew that.
mm-hmm,
So anyway, but yeah, I think they just they don't tell anybody to do anything. Like they
mm-hmm.
just kind of let the bands, do their thing. And, obviously we can't be on tour all the time or as active as we used to be. And, mostly because it's not fun being on tour all the time. And that's the truth, because,
Mm-hmm.
we have lives and families and stuff. And but also before we had lives and families and all that stuff, we did the band constantly. We were on the tour, we're on tour like 8 months a year, and it was a drag. It was the same shit over and over again. It's not good for bands to just tour all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Fat Records is just like, do whatever the hell you want. They and they're super supportive. They'll make suggestions, of course, like any label, but yeah, at the end of the day, do whatever you want. So they've always been amazing to us.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And do you speak with Fat Mike sometimes? Like, also about the songwriting and stuff. I know he's a big fan of yours. You always speak about the great things about Chixdiggit and stuff. Or did you ever toured with like bigger bands of the label, like NoFX? Because it seems like you are like this sort of this oasis of a Fat Wreck. Like there is Chixdiggit there, and he's always been there, and they're always doing great and stuff like that. But they are not so connected with the rest of the label. It seems to me from far away, because they are the other rest of the label. They are touring and they are doing stuff in a certain way. You are basically doing your things in your own way, whenever
Yeah.
you want, whatever you feel like.
We've kind of never done those Fat Records tours, and there's a lot of bands on there that we know, but we don't touring know. And
Yeah.
so it's like, and that's a different kind of knowing somebody. Obviously, that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we have lots of friends there, but they also know we can't. Like some of those tours are like 2 months long or whatever, and we can't do that. And
Yeah.
so with no effects, like we'll do, it's every once in a while, because there's so many bands that they want to promote or help out or give a leg up to, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's not that often,
Yeah. Your
but
previous experience was with Sub Pop, of course, everyone knows. Is it true that in those times, which were really different for music in general, you had a Sub Pop credit card?
no, we had Chixdiggit credit cards. But maybe we'll save
Which...
that for the Mark stories.
Okay.
Yeah, but we did.
But
Yeah, we had a Sub Pop like pager or a beeper or whatever. So,
okay.
and then yeah, which caused more trouble than it was worth, because our friends at home would have the number, and this thing would be going off all the time, and so. But anyway, and other problems I probably can't talk about, but.
Well, now you can. Now you can.
But yeah, it's just you and me. So, but yeah, we had a Chixdiggit credit card, and Mark didn't have a credit card, so he was like, I got a credit card. And so what he would do is he would come home drunk, and then order shit off TV. So there's this thing called the Turby Twist that like you put in your hair after you take a shower, and then there was like a best of Benny Hill of like VHS box set. Anyway, like if it was on TV, and then he would call like the psychic hotline and then fall asleep. And so we would be looking at, because Mike and I would get the credit card statement. Yeah. And it would be Mark's would like, I would have bought like, lunch once or something. And then Mark would have bought like, every single, like the Flowbee, how you can cut your hair with a vacuum cleaner. You know that one? Did you guys have that? And the best of Benny Hill video. So he ordered the best of Benny Hill video.
We have that. We have that. That is a good investment. That I think is a good investment.
For sure. Yeah. And,
right
you can find a VHS player. It's probably still, but I think he had ordered it a couple times, and I think he was like, oh, I'm going to get this for so-and-so. Like he had basically kept the best of Benny Hill video people. And so, but then he couldn't afford to pay it back. That was,
of course,
the thing, because it was like thousands of dollars of things, and psychic hotline. So the person on the other end of the psychic hotline is not going to hang up the phone if the guy's sleeping, right? They're just going to be like, because it's probably like routed from Calgary to Uganda, like to Vietnam. It's like the long distance charges are like, insane.
Do you think they went on talking or doing their thing, or they understood that Mark was falling asleep on the couch?
Well, they probably just picked up another phone and took another call. That's probably like, I don't know how it works, but
that's beautiful. But it shows how much the music industry changed since those years. I guess you have been, you went through, because now, of course, new bands don't know how it was in the mid-90s, I guess. Like there was more money in the music. Well, it actually was an industry. So how did you leave this, change of the industry to, the beginning with the record labels where you could get signed and you could get, like, as you said before, like a bunch of money in advance to record a record. And now, which is basically, you do it mostly for fun, or if you want, you have to commit your whole life to tour and try to do the best you can to live out of it.
Yeah, I think there's some bands that struggled after like the money went away. For us, we weren't really a band. We would just kind of started as a joke, and then all of a sudden, here's this money, and we're like, so it's not like we like, knew this life before that we couldn't, it was just kind of, and it was a year long, so we didn't get too used to it,
Yes.
But yeah, it was crazy money being flown, or like they would call, like Sub Pop would call, and they would say, oh, you need to go on Thursday to fly to St. Louis to have dinner with these radio people. So we would get in a plane and then fly to St. Louis, have dinner, and then like go right back to the airport and fly home again. It was like these crazy, it was stupid. Like you wouldn't do that now. And for radio. And but yeah, there was lots of money, and we spent it on fun shit.
That's the right attitude.
Yeah.
Because another thing that many, I've been lucky. Like I always say that you are my favorite band to tour with. No doubt about that. One of the reasons why is that you don't care. You don't give a shit about, because touring, it can get really, boring for certain aspects. Like, for example, being on time, do the sound check really early in the afternoon, traveling, not seeing stuff, not doing it as a holiday, because it's a lot of work. So I tour with a lot of bands, and I respect them a lot, which see that as a job or something really serious. So they want to focus on the music, and they want to focus on being pros, which I really understand, and I like that. And that's more like I am. But with you totally changed my mind. Something like, oh, Franz, what time we have to be at the club today? It's like, 4 in the afternoon to be on soundcheck. Like, no, we show up at 9. Let's go to see that castle, or just let's go to that place or that other place. So, you really leave the thing as you want to do.
Well, and that goes back to like, it has to be fun, right? Like, and it's funny, like, because I think we are professional. Like when we show up, we're like, we do our job, we, you know, and, or whatever, you know, professionalism means. But yeah, but I think it's professional to make sure that the band is happy. That's the most important thing. And we're happiest when we're relaxed and having fun. And if, like, you know, I don't understand how bands do it the other way, to be honest with you. You know, like it's, but yeah, it's got to be fun. Like, what's the, like, honestly, anybody who listens to music, and I listen to music, and I imagine these bands, and I'm like, man, it'd be fun to be in that band, you know? Yeah. And, you know, yeah, it's fun to be in our band. Like, we have a good time, like, all the time, you know? And I remember watching Backstage Passport, and NoFX had said, you know, we, like, no other band in the world has more fun than us. And I'm like, that's not fucking true. We have more fun than NoFX. I mean, it's like, that's, you know, and it's not just fun at the show. Like, our whole day is structured around sleeping, which is fun, especially when you have kids at home. But, you know, like, you know, eating, and like, I gain weight on tour, you know, just because I'm trying all sorts of things, you know, especially when we tour with you, you know. But, you know, it's like, yeah, it's gotta be fun. I don't understand the point of being in a band if it's not gonna be like as much fun as you can possibly have. And sitting in a dark club, when you're sitting in a dark club in Wuppertal or some shit, it's the same as sitting in a dark club in Regina or in Calgary. And at that point, you're not on tour anymore, and you're not, you know, I don't know, living life. You're sitting in a fucking club listening to doom, doom, you know, on the fucking tom or whatever, you know. And I'd rather eat and have a coffee somewhere and joke around and laugh, see a castle, or, you know, meet a friend that we know from that town who's got a cool job, and or whatever, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. So yeah, and luckily you're the first touring company, especially in Europe, that lets us do that.
Yeah, of course.
We've been told we're unprofessional so many times by so many people, you know, and it's like, no, we're not. We are professional, you know. We're more than professional, you know. We love our fucking jobs, you know. So I don't even want to call it a job, but yeah, that's professional.
Yeah, I agree with you. You made a good point, because like at the end of the day, you know, you can be, as I said before, on time and on schedule about the specific things on the schedule. But at the same time, there are so many things that can go wrong. And then, for example, you can be on schedule, but then the band fight and they don't do a good show, and they don't really, they just do it in a boring way. But then with you, like, there is the excitement, even for showing up really late. And I remember a couple of times we showed up way too late. But the show went great and everyone was happy. And then another thing, you make everyone happy, not only at the show, but also after the show, because, you know, you spend time with your fans, you spend time partying, you spend time, you know, it's, you know, it's.
That's the sleeping part. Well, thanks for saying that. Well, I remember, but, you know, and you guys, you know, I knew it was going to work with you and Diego. I remember we had a show, I can't remember where it was. And we were driving in the two cars. Remember, we had two different cars because your van had broken down.
Yes.
And we had like the fast car, which was Diego, and then the super slow car, which was you. You were driving, like, you know. And I remember it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I think Diego's like, hey, and we're supposed to be on stage at 11, and we're like 3 hours away still. And Diego's like, I got a friend here in this town, and he runs a restaurant. Let me give him a call because they got the best, or whatever it was. And then we're stopping for dinner at 9 o'clock when we're supposed to be. And then I think we stopped again for ice cream like an hour later. But anyway,
it was in La Spezia.
Yeah.
It was in La Spezia. Yeah.
Yeah. And we showed up at 1 in the morning or something, because you guys kept calling the club and saying, yeah, we're going to be in around, you know, whatever. And we're like, yeah, just show up whenever you want. And we were like, this is the greatest. This is like how rock and roll actually should be, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Which brings me to another question, actually, which is, you are a band on Fat Track, so in a big label, probably the biggest punk rock label right now. And what is happening right now in Europe, in my opinion, that's my point of view, is that in particular, not the newest band, but the big bands, they come every summer, and they do this sort of circuit of what we call corporate punk festivals, or like, big things. So every year you have like festivals built around the same band. So you basically have the same lineup in every like festival. So it's becoming a little bit like, the same thing over and over, which is great for some way because you get fantastic lineups and fantastic festivals. But at the same time, it seems like we are like, that punk rock is becoming that old people genre that we got only those 80s shows. Like, that you get aficionado, and then there is like, Bad Religion every year. And I love Bad Religion. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the religion. I would like to see them. But then you wonder, like, what's happening? Like, there cannot be a festival or something like this without having those few names. And then if there is not a new band reforming every year, it seems like the lineup is always the same. Probably a great lineup, but it seems like something is wrong in that one. Did you ever thought about it? You have the same impression in Canada or in Northern America, or it's?
Well, you see, where we live, like we're kind of isolated. Like, if you look at where Calgary is on a map, we're like 10 hours drive from Vancouver, 8 hours drive from Regina or Saskatoon, 3 hours from the border, but that's Montana, and there's nothing there. No offense, Montana. So like we're isolated. So and we're kind of like a cowboy town, and there's a lot of festivals who don't come here because of our Calgary's politics and our cowboy festival. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's why I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that's why Punk and Drublic didn't come here and it went to Edmonton. Edmonton's 3 hours away, but still that's like there's nothing in between. So we've always been kind of isolated. So we don't really get those tours. It would be maybe, I don't even know if it's an American thing anymore. It used to be like Warped Tour or whatever. But Warped Tour mixed it up a little bit. I don't know what what it's like there, but it'd be nice if they mix it up, every year, and I'm sure they're trying to. It's probably tough to do, right? Because like you said, how many headliners are there?
Exactly, that's the big problem, because there are good new bands. I mean, I believe, but they're not in that level of being headliners in those kind of festivals, and those kind of festivals need to sell a shitload of tickets. It's kind of this weird situation, So of course, people into punk rock like us, like they go to those festivals and maybe we are excited about the new thing or the smaller band, but it seems like there is no much room for taking chances of these things. I don't know.
Well, I think once you get to a certain level, like some of these festivals are huge, right? Like how many people go to them? Like 50,000 people or whatever? I don't know. Like, do you know?
Which one? Which festival?
I don't know. Just pick one. Like.
No, I think the biggest one is probably, I would say 4,000, 5,000 of these, at least here. I'm not sure, but no, not that big. Like I think 50,000 is something like Green Day and Weezer. Like in the
what about like what's Cruise Rock? Like how many is that?
That is probably 20 or 30,000. They stopped the last year, the recent years. I think they did it 2 years ago last time. I don't even remember. I lost track. Sorry, Cruise Rock Festival. I actually love you a lot. But
I don't either. Sorry,
lost track. And no, so it's kind of. And then knowing that you are, in that label, but you still operate like, in this way, brings me joy. Personally, it makes me believe in punk rock even more because that's the ethics that I believe in. So let's go. I have tons of questions. We just scratched the surface. So my good friend Simone, which is a big collector of vinyl, is asking, is there any outtakes of Pink Razors?
I don't
know. Perfect. Still Simone, and this is a question a lot of people asked because they really enjoyed your solo stuff and your solo tour. So any chance or any idea of doing one day a solo acoustic album?
Yeah, I mean, that's all stuff that kind of, I was working on, and then, I just kind of got to a point where I needed a break, I think, you know what I mean? And so I've got all this stuff ready to go. And I think just, you know, a big thing is, you know, we had a baby here at our house, like my wife. So, and I didn't want to go away and because it's fucking busy when you have a baby. And now he's old enough where I can start, you know, he's going to be going to school, hopefully, you know, depending on what's going on with this in September. So that makes it easier for me to do that. And you know, and to be quite honest with you, I didn't want to be away from home. I like being at home, you know, like, but don't get me wrong, I love being on tour, and I am like, to say I'm ready to go on tour again would be like putting it very, very mildly, you know? So, but yeah, acoustic would be definitely one of those things that I want to do.
That's beautiful. You mentioned your wife, and not so many people know, but I think we should take the time of mentioning the fact that your wife played in one of the best female-fronted like bands in the world, which is Riffrandels, and out of Canada, and you tour with them even in Italy, in Europe, and also in Italy, and they released records on Alien Snatch, which are amazing. And is she still playing music? I mean, she has a lot of fans here, like, you know, still a lot of people listening to that band and mentioning that band.
Yeah, I know. You know, one of my favorite bands, and that honeymoon tour, because we did a tour together. That honeymoon tour, it was like one of my favorite tours ever, because it was like kind of the last time we could just like go crazy
together.
Well, just it was like pretty much we were drunk the whole time, like all that. And that was before, you know, we had kids, so it was like, yeah, you get you know, things change a little bit when you have kids. You know, I don't drink as much at home on tour, of course. You know, we might have to make our rider a little bigger, but yeah. So she's, you know, I think, you know, not feeling like being in a band, but she's so, you know, so great, and gets embarrassed when, you know, I talk about it, or, you know, like her coworkers at work don't even know that she was in this band. Like, it's like criminal to me. That's
crazy.
You know, yeah, but
why? Yeah. Like after that tour, basically she just put the band on a hold and say like, no, I'm not gonna do it again. Or then sometimes she plays in shows. Like I
that was it. I think they may have done a couple shows after that, and we had gone to Japan. I was the roadie for the Riffrandels in Japan, which is super. It's way more fun being a roadie than being actually in the band.
Yes, tell me about it.
Yeah. But Anne-Marie, the drummer, is in a band called White Lung, and so they tour a lot. And yeah, I just think, you know, like we play music together at home all the time. She's not really into being in a band right now, so I don't know. That's a question for her. I'm only, you know. Yeah.
Call her. She's in the house. Then
no, she doesn't want
to interview her.
I asked her. They're watching a movie downstairs, and she didn't want to.
Actually, behind me there is this poster of the Rotterdam Rumble, and you were playing there. Chixdiggit and Riffrandels were playing there. That was a big inspiration. That was a beautiful festival, and some people is commenting and said, of course, there is a lot of mid-level cool punk festivals in Europe, which is true. And hello, Mark, I love you. And they say the punk in Drublic in Germany is average 4,000 people. So you see, like, people is following. They're actually listening to us.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's incredible. It's incredible. So let's go back to the questions. Okay, so Polymers Are Forever asked, KJ, the world needs a hero or a new Chixdiggit record. When are you going to step up for either?
I was trying to. Soon, you know. I thank you very much, but I think, I mean, we're trying to get something done, and I think hopefully this year. I mean, it all depends on, you know, a lot of more important things, I think. You know,
This brings me to another question, talking about heroes, is like, we noticed recently, in particular in Raduno people, that there is a strong connection in between, like, the being into punk rock and be passionate about punk rock or being in the punk rock community. And a lot of these people sometimes have like social jobs, like working in social level in different ways. And it happens like there is my good friend Martino, who is, the hand of punk rock Raduno, is like the essential guy in punk rock Raduno. And other people that I work with, they of course doing social jobs, and other people I know into bands and punk rock, they have this kind of attitude, and you are one of those because you have your job is related to that and is connected to that. So, why you think people into punk rock tend to be, also in some way active on the social level?
Well, just off the top of my head, I would say that I think this, being into this scene or this kind of music, I think you have to sort of, look, you have to, do a little digging. And I think that is a different kind of person who does that. I think that's the kind of person who, wants something more or something different or something better than what what they see, right? And I think that trait in people, when you see people who are, having a rough go, I mean, a lot of people know that there are people struggling right now, especially, let's say, but they don't know what to do about it. But then punk rock people, I think, know how to dig shit up and find a way to get food to people. Like you were saying, you guys are going around, like the Edonay people are going around and delivering groceries and that kind of thing. And so I think there's that. I think, and there's a sense of community. I mean, it's like, everybody kind of knows everybody, or they've seen them before or whatever. And so I think that sense of community is something that, people want to see in other areas of their life too. So I think that you have to give a shit about other people, I think. And I think if I think about Raduno, all I remember about it was all these happy people, being cool to each other, and I don't know, I'm rambling probably, but I think that there's like hints a little bit in all those things that, I think people give a shit about other people in our scene.
Do you think music in general and punk rock in particular, they change your life in an ethic way? Because I think so. I think my theory is that the fact that punk rock helped us in many ways, like, expressing ourselves or finding a way of finding some social skills with other people or trying just to put yourself out, we are so thankful to punk rock, and that we respect it a lot, but we also want to show this to other people. At least that's what we are trying to do with Raduno. Like, we love so much this culture that we want to find a way, like, it is so important for us what it has given to us, that we want someone else to discover it and be inspired by it. So I think in some way,
it's really inspiring. But I think, if I think of, I grew up in a small town like near Calgary, and I think everybody knows everybody there too, right? And it's I think maybe it's that small town mentality in a good way, because there's some bad aspects of a small town mentality. But I think, I remember that same experience, people helping each other out, you know, and I think that it's I think it's all connected. I think you gravitate towards a scene not just because of the music. There's always been a community here. The minute I went to my first show, I was like, I didn't feel like I belonged there. And everybody else is like, you absolutely belong here. I mean, you just got to get over it. And but I think there's a small town in a good way aspect of our scene that leads us to care about each other and that kind of thing.
I agree. So let's go back to the question: favorite Canadian band ever?
I'm gonna get in trouble. Well,
Are you? Well, probably yes, but who cares?
I'm gonna say Bryan Adams.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Well, this brings me to another question. No, I think, like, I don't know if I'm right, but I see a lot of influence from stuff like glam rock or 70s rock in the Chixdiggit formula, which is something that the average pop punk or punk rocker will not see. And I also have my theory that a lot of 90s bands or 80s bands
Okay, I don't know what happened, but seems like we had a little bit of a problem. Let's see. Second part, surprise, surprise. I don't know what happened, but Instagram just kicked us out. Maybe we were revealing some secrets. Who knows about it? But let's see.
get KJ. We are talking about with KJ from Chixdiggit Live. Let's see if he's still. Hey,
well,
what happened?
Instagram was just, I think Instagram chimed in and they're like, "This is boring as shit. Let's get."
Let's go back to the Mark stories.
Oh,
Come
man.
on.
Yeah. I think I want to continue it. And honestly, there's so many that I think you can't tell, but
Yeah.
I would just say he would be the guy on tour that, if, you're on tour for 3 months, like we used to do, and everybody's, like bummed out or whatever. And like, he would do something to make everybody laugh, but it would be like, not just tell a joke or something. He would actually go out and
Yeah.
put his body on the line, I would say.
Oh yes, I remember. Maybe we should not say this, but I remember the last show in Bergamo, which was at Giocoala, outside of Giocoala, in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And I remember after the show, precisely Mark being basically naked, and he would just act like, you remember that? Like he would just act like nothing was, nothing wrong with that. He was just going around and invading other conversations, just being in his underwear and just being like there, hey.
Well, that day we had gone to have pizza at Galetta d'Oro, and I was telling him about it because he'd never been.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And so we're driving along, and we get there, and he's been sitting in his underwear all day. So underwear, black socks, and like green Vans, I think, slip-on Vans. And so we're getting out, so he gets out, and he's walking towards the restaurant. I'm like, you got to put like a shirt and some pants on. And he was like kind of mad at me. He's like, why? Like, I thought this was your friend. I'm like, well, I don't know him that well, but I'd be like, it's a restaurant, but he was like actually incredulous. We would be like, you got to wear pants. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. He just has always, when I first met him, he's a super skinny kid, like a really like protruding Adam's apple, and kind of like poofy hair like mine's getting now, and but he had like the mullet, and I remember he had Motley Crue tickets in his back pocket for a long time, and they were actually kind of like wearing out a little bit because it was because like his mom couldn't find out that he had Motley Crue tickets, and and he had them in his pocket for like 2 months before they
in order not to be find out about his mother, because his mother didn't want to go to the show. Like, so basically he had to hide it on himself.
Yeah. He had to keep them with him because his mom would find him in his room or something. I don't know. But that was like, I think we were in like, might have been like 13 or something. That's when I met him, and we were on the same soccer team. And, but we thought he was Italian. Because we thought his name was, because his name's Mark O' Flaherty, so he's Irish. But we thought his name was Marco Floretti.
Yes.
And everybody did. And he also went to a Catholic school here. And so the Catholic schools in Calgary was all Italian kids. And then Mark, right? So, he was just like this weird kid and super quiet. Actually, he wasn't like outgoing at all. He was actually like super introverted and like shy around girls and all this stuff that he's like, I would say not now, maybe.
No.
And so yeah, I mean, and so he lived on the other end of our neighborhood, so it was probably like a 20-minute walk from my house to his house. So we would talk on the phone. And I remembered this because the other day when I was talking to Mark on the phone, I actually walked to my parents' house and I walked by his old house. And I remembered that we would call each other and then we would hang up right away. And then we would both start walking from our houses, and we would always meet at the same spot because it, you know, pretty much took that time to get there, right? And yeah, and then we would like go job hunting, or we would never do anything like cool or anything. We would go to the mall near our house and go job hunting, and never got a job out of it. But that was just the kind of stupid shit we did.
That's beautiful. And he's a professor now. He's teaching now in Madrid.
Yeah, he's teaching. You know? He's teaching Spanish kids English.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know. It's amazing that somebody would trust their kids. He was showing me in his class, like the kids had to do this thing, and it was like they all did like these AC/DC artwork things, like collages or whatever. I just thought, I would love to have a teacher like Mark when I was growing up.
Yes, I agree. So for those of you that got connected now and that they are asking now, so first of all, yes, Chixdiggit are releasing a new record soon, and it's going to be a triple LP because they have 60 songs ready. This is what with
it's going to be
an EP of 3 songs out of the 60 that KJ has ready, and they're hopefully they're coming back soon in Europe. And some other questions, like Mike Decrex asked when you're coming to join Decrex to do a tour before the Hockey World Cup, like you planned in 2011.
Yeah, we talked about it. Cool. Mike, I got a call, and like nobody comes to Calgary. And I got a call from Mikey Decrack, and he's like, well, I'll be in Calgary tomorrow. And he, like a couple of years ago, we had accidentally shown up in Austria. Like we didn't realize that we had a day between getting to Austria and then, or getting to Vienna and then flying home, because it was like how we were getting home. And so we had no place to stay, no plans, and, you know, had all our shit. And he's like, well, why don't you come over? So we go over to his house, and he takes us on a walking tour of Vienna, like for 14 hours, you know, drinking, eating, seeing stuff, right? And then I'm like, there's part of me that is like, I love today, it was so great. But then part of me is like, if he ever shows up in Calgary, what the fuck am I going to show this guy? Because like, you know, this is Vienna, and then Calgary is basically 100 years old of, you know, nothing really.
Yeah, yeah.
God bless you, Calgary, but you know, no Vienna. And then so he shows up and is like, yeah, hey, well, you got some time to hang out? Show me around Calgary. And I'm like, my heart sank, right? And so, but then I thought, dude's into hockey and he's into wrestling.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so the Hart Foundation, so Bret Hart hangs out at the mall by my house.
What?
Owen Hart, his brother Owen Hart is.
Oh yeah, of course.
Took him to where the Calgary Flames played. Calgary's not my team, but there wasn't a game or a practice or anything, but the lady let us in and gave us a tour of the Saddle Dome, just me and Mike and one of the other Isotopes. And then, so that was like, you know, kind of, that would never happen in Calgary normally. And then we went to all these like wrestling things. I took him to the Hart Mansion, and he was like, I would say, happy with that.
Of course.
And yeah, I was all I could feel was relief, you know, because it's like,
of course,
how do you,
of course,
yeah. Anyway,
no, but
we love the D-Cracks, yeah.
Cool. I didn't know that about Bret Hart. I was a big fan when I was a kid. Actually, I tell you what, I probably never told you this. When one of my best memories when I was a kid was my dad bringing me to a WWF match. The first time they show up in Milan. Oh, yeah. And I was lucky enough to be the kid that got the glasses.
Oh, from Macho Man?
No, from Bret Hart. From Bret Hart.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, because before he would always go and give his glasses, like the pink ones, to one kid. Yeah. And that was me. And of course, many years later, my brother lost the glasses, but it doesn't matter anymore. So let's see. We have some questions from Mark right now to you.
Oh my.
Okay. Yes, he actually contacted me today to ask you some questions. So, first of all, is asking, what is your favorite memory of the 1988 Winter Olympics?
Well, so many. I was a volunteer during the Winter Olympics. Actually, my favorite memory was Mike Egremont, who was our original bass player. Everybody in Calgary was trying to volunteer to be, part of this Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it's super fun to have the Olympics because most of the venues were near where we lived, and so there was athletes everywhere, and it was fun. But anyway, so the only thing we could find that would take us, because we were, I think, 15 years old, was square dancing in the opening ceremonies. So we're like, well, let's just do it, because then we can be volunteers too, right? And so we show up to the first square dancing, get together, whatever, practice, and then it's us, me and Mike, and then everybody else is like 75 years old. And yeah, so we started going to these like square dancing things. We didn't know how to square dance, but we were learning, and and we did that for months. And then after a while, we're just like, fuck this, we can't square dance anymore. Can't, hang out with these people. So we didn't end up, being part of it. It was actually kind of fun to be like the two, kind of nerdy kids in with all those.
Exactly. Yeah. And there would be footage now. Wow.
Yeah, but not anymore.
Fantastic.
But I did end up volunteering at the cross country skiing, like, what do you call it? The dormitories where they all lived or whatever. And so I would like scan the little cards, which was like super fancy technology at the time.
Okay. Yes.
They had these ID cards, and then you would scan the ID card, and then you would let them into
Future.
So, yeah. And so actually some of the athletes were like my age. And so they would party after their races were done. It was just like, they had this big kind of lounge thing with a stage. They'd bring bands in, and then we would just drink and party. Some of them, of course, were like super serious about being cross-country skiers. But I'll say this, the Bulgarian women's cross-country team of 1988 were not as serious as, say, like maybe the Finns were or whatever. So yeah, I would say that, those that week where I was there would probably be. And we saw like Doug and the Slugs, and Bryan Adams played, and Katie Lang when she was like a cowpunk or whatever. She was like they were actually really good shows. And yeah, I would say that would be my favorite.
Your favorite. Second question from Mark is, I have no idea about this question. Like, what is the difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo? I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Mark jokes.
Yes, go on.
Well, all right. So the joke is, what's the difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo bean? And then, of course, this is Mark telling the joke, so you have to, and then he would say, well, I wouldn't pay $300 to watch a garbanzo bean. That's the punchline. Anyway, thanks, Mark.
So I think, let's see. Well, I still have a lot of questions, but Mark is watching, by the way. Mark is on Instagram. It's a secret, but he's on Instagram.
Awesome.
And we should also mention that together with our friend Kurt Baker, he has a new band called The Gold. And so you should check out his new band. And let's see here. What other questions? So, no, well, I think as we are going on since a long time now, I mean, I will spend my entire, every Easter and every festivity with you talking here, but
yeah, let's do it.
maybe it's a good idea to wrap this up, and we should wrap it with couple Mark stories. I think we should, go to the point. The focus should be your favorite, at least your favorite Mark story.
Well, since he put me on the spot, I think maybe I'll see if he can answer this. Mark, am I allowed to tell the story about the iguana? Let's see if he answers that one. I don't know if I'm. So
everyone says yes, so I'm sure Mark agrees with that.
Mark. Well, maybe, you know, I did ask him, and he did put me on the spot.
Yeah. You have the same say, like,
okay. All right.
Silence means yes. So.
Okay. So I used to work nights doing my job. And so I would come home at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I would fall asleep and sleep for most of the day. Now, that day, we were opening a Chixdiggit bank account. So this would have been, it was a long time ago. So we had to all go in and then be part of this. He says, I don't care. So anyway, everybody comes over. It was like, you know, 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'd only slept for a few hours. Mark shows up and he just looks like sad, and he never looks sad. And so anyway, I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, oh, my iguana died. And I was like, oh, that's terrible, actually, like, because he loved this fucking iguana. He had a tiny little bedroom in an apartment that he shared with Mike Egremont, but half of this bedroom was like dedicated to this fucking iguana, which had grown to be like 2 meters long or whatever. It was like as big as, you know, a fucking iguana could get. And actually, Mark smelled like iguana all the time. When he would sweat a little bit, you could smell iguana food or whatever, like the pellets or whatever. Yeah. And so anyway, it was just like, he loved this thing, and you know, had learned all about iguanas, and you know, you get the point. So we go to the bank, we all sit in there, and we, you know, sign the thing, and we prove that we all are Chixdiggit, you know, and we open this bank account. And we're driving back to my house, and I said to Mark, like, so what happened? Like, how did you know that it was dead? And he said, well, I woke up in the morning and it was like, you know, tits up, legs in the air on the bottom of the cage. I'm like, oh no, like, that's crazy. And I said, so what did you do? And he said, well, I wrapped it in like a bed sheet, and then I put it in a black garbage bag, and then I threw it in the garbage. So I'm like, well, that's like your beloved pet, but okay, like, I mean, I don't know, like, maybe you would bury it, or I don't know what you would do with this. Like, honestly, the thing was bigger than him. And so anyway, I was like, kind of, you know, I was laughing at that a little bit, but, you know, trying not to, because he was sad. So then I go back to sleep, but I fell asleep with the TV on. And so I'm kind of laying on my side, and the TV's on, and the news comes on. This is like 5 p.m. It's like the dinner news. And the news guy here is like, it ain't easy being green. City bottle picker finds a surprise when going through a downtown dumpster. And I'm looking, and then there's this fucking iguana sitting on top of the garbage, alive, like blinking. So I'm like, you know, waking up, and I think I'm imagining, you know, so I call Mark right away, and so I call him right away. I'm like, because this iguana was like standing on like a stack of Playboys in this fucking garbage can. So I said, hey, did you throw out a whole bunch of Playboys? And he's like, yeah, why? And I said, I think you better turn on the news. So he turns on the news, and I could hear him go, oh my God. So, and they were like, the police were there and everything. And the police were interviewed saying, I don't know who would do this kind of thing to this poor animal. And they were just making him out to be this monster. So he calls the pet store, because they had brought this thing to a pet store. So, and they're like, you better call the Humane Society. So he calls them, and they said, you better call the police. And so he calls the police, and Mark's like, I've never read Playboy. Okay, well, it wasn't Playboy.
It was Iguana's Playboy.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So anyway, so he ended up getting charged with cruelty to animals. Like, actually, like, criminally charged. And we were supposed to go on tour, like, later. So, you know, like a month from then or whatever, but he had like, and it was a serious charge, right? Cruelty to animals. And
Yeah.
I remember driving to work that night and listening to the radio, and the guy's like, "Hey, you heard about this guy who tried to kill his iguana?" And it was like the news here in town. Meanwhile, it's like, you know, clearly Mark would never ever hurt an animal, or, you know,
Of course.
he just, you know, is not that guy. So anyway, he's feeling terrible. And it was funny too, because I don't think Mark's mom really knew much about him being in the band. And on the front page of like that, like a couple days later, front page story on the news was his story, you know, about this iguana thing. It tells you a little bit about where we live too, right? And then the front page of the entertainment section was this a big thing about Chixdiggit. And so on the front, it said Mark Bernardo Flaherty, right? But on the thing, it was Mark O'Flaherty in the entertainment section, but nobody put the two together. Like, until
That's
now.
beautiful.
So anyway, we had to go to court and all this stuff and like testify. And he never ended up getting his iguana back, like somebody else ended up.
No,
Yeah.
that's the sad part.
That's terrible,
Oh.
I know. But yeah, so anyway, I'm sorry, Mark. I love that story though, because like it could only happen to Mark, you know? But, yeah.
Mark, you are the best. We
is.
love you so much. I mean, I think we cannot go on after this story. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
it's the
That's a great
best
way to-
story ever. So Mark, tell us something to do at the end, because, you know, we are lost without you. And the other well, yeah, the iguana thing is, I don't know what to say, honestly. It's like, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Fantastic. So where at least, Mark, where at least you happy that the iguana was not dead? I mean, of
Yeah.
course you cannot have it back, and you know, you could not have it back, but at least you were
Stasis.
happy, I guess.
Yeah. So somebody just put here the iguana was in stasis, exactly. And so he brought in like a lizard expert
Yeah.
from there's a dinosaur museum. There's a dinosaur museum near here, and we had to like, he testified saying that, you know, basically this iguana, if you would have felt its pulse, she's like,
Yeah.
guess what? Where the fuck would you feel an iguana's pulse anyway? I
Yeah.
don't mean to go on about this iguana, but the guy was saying it would beat like once every half hour or something.
Yeah.
So then Mark was exonerated, and then everybody's happy, and we're on tour, and we're not hanging out with an iguana killer. So
Beautiful. Guys, let's hear it for KJ. Thank you so much for spending time with us in this Easter and sharing these beautiful stories of Mark.
yeah, it was fun.
So we have to thank Mark for being, you know, the guy that he is, and for Chixdiggit. And yeah, and thank you so much for everything you do, KJ. And you know, you're the fact that you're so loved and everyone has only good things about to say about Chixdiggit tells a lot of what you and Mark and the others did, you know, beside the beautiful stories that you're sharing. But you know, the thing is that your reputation come first. So thank you so much, and let's start planning for the next year.
I love you, Franz. Yeah, let's do it. I can't wait to hang out, and yeah, just everybody, especially in Italy, like be safe over there, and you know, we're thinking about you guys, and yeah, it's yeah, we're gonna get through this, and it's gonna be, you know, everything's gonna be back to normal, and we'll be not killing iguanas in no time.
No, exactly. And not wasting Playboys either, because that's the other tragedy. Yeah, who will ever do that? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what I thought the news story was about.
I love you.
I love you too, buddy. We'll talk soon. Be safe. Bye, everybody.
You too. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.